Tôi mong cái chết của mình có thể khởi đầu trong cuộc cách mạng mới. Nhưng không. Điều duy nhất có thể cứu rỗi linh hồn tôi là biến bản thân mình trở thành khởi nguồn cho những thay đổi, để bắt đầu một cuộc cách mạng, để giải thoát những con vật khác khỏi cái số phận đau đớn như tôi từng chịu.
I got really interested several years ago when I read an article in the Vietnamese national paper about the last Javan rhino, the last naturally occurring Javan rhino in Vietnam, having been poached and killed. And I thought that kind of moment and that event was quite a significant historical moment that kind of captured a lot of things that was happening politically and environmentally in Vietnam. Things that also kind of led to a kind of global crisis where there's a danger of extinction of rhinos in places like Africa because of a belief system in Vietnam. In 2016 also there was one of the largest protests that happened in Vietnam since before 1975, and people were protesting these massive fish deaths that were caused by pollution by a plastics manufacturing company called Formosa, and then started drawing these connections between that historical moment, those events, and the event of the extinction of the Javan rhino in Vietnam.
Tôi là con tê giác Java cuối cùng ở Việt Nam, con tê giác Java cuối cùng trên đất liền ở châu Á. Chúng tôi đã tuyệt chủng.
There's been many kind of instances in the past where writers and thinkers have used animals to kind of reflect on a human condition. We put voices to them to kind of reflect back on what we're doing as people. Most of those instances in the past have used animals to think about revolution, right? To think about the oppressed. That became a very kind of interesting relationship to me. Using that again, like twisting it around in a very specific Vietnamese context with specific animals that have gone extinct in Vietnam, and having them kind of reiterate or kind of regurgitate revolutionary kind of dialogue. Reflecting on these issues was offered a kind of very layered way of looking at our relationship to the environment and consumption and politics. I am very fascinated by these kind of belief systems in the past that have been used as moments of resistance against colonizing forces. Like in Vietnam, like this belief in like these different supernaturalisms and ancestor worship and stuff like that have been really kind of effective in maintaining a sort of identity, a cultural identity that was being kind of depleted by colonizing forces. At the same time, I think that it's important for us to kind of think about and to be able to kind of reflect on certain cultural belief systems that are having an adverse effect on our environment. So I think we can't essentialize all culture, and we can't essentialize like a sense of like cultural identity as being, perfect. There's flaws in everything. And sometimes those kind of moments in our identity are empowering, and sometimes they're dangerous. In Vietnam specifically, and I think in many parts of Asia, like there's a habit that comes from a belief that, animal forms like the dragon bring good luck or bring fortune, brings money. For me, that's a kind of consumption. And then there's also these kind of forms that I kind of see, not only in Asia, but all over the world, where we kind of splice together different parts of different animals to create these hybrid creatures that are magical and all-powerful, like the kirin, And it's like this amalgamation of like these different parts that we have attributed kind of special abilities or special powers to all in one creature. You know, there's this play with our imagination and the way that we desire and the way that we interact with these animal forms that I think I'm fascinated with and kind of very horrified by, you know, the way that we create these images that we then kind of either worship or want to destroy, like out of fear. Like we create our fears and we create our desires through these animal forms. We worship certain animals, and somehow in worshiping them, we kind of end up destroying them. But I think that, you know, in some context, animal worship works really beautifully, like the cow figure in like Hindu religion, or even in Vietnam, like there's a belief in Vietnam that whales are gods of the sea. So instead of like hunting whales like a lot of other cultures do, the Vietnamese actually worship whales, and it's effective in that it kind of has a direct influence on our environment. I don't know, I think it's a very complex relationship that we have. It's troubling, it's sometimes ironic, it's paradoxical. I don't know how to read it, you know, because it's so complex. I think it's gotten to a point where we don't even realize how we kind of consume these animal forms. Like we have them on our t-shirts and we name our, you know, athletic teams based on animals, and we have, you know, animals everywhere, but we don't really see them, you know, and we don't see our kind of relationship to them.